preliminary. Excuse me. Now, before we dig into these next couple of videos, y'all, I want to show you a couple definitions that is going to be important. I want to show us a couple definitions that are going to become important during this conversation. I'm going to turn my music down too. Hold on. Give me a hot second. Let me just cue a couple things up for us. Not the bobblehead. Ooh, that man is ugly. Ooh, he was ugly. And I didn't say nothing about it until I found out how ugly he really was. I kept all that to myself. I sure did. I sure did. Hold on. So there's two things I want to take a look at. I want to look at the definitions that differentiate a strong ego from a weak ego. We're going to have a little psychological conversation. I also want to take a look at the definition of a narcissist so that we can have a full context of education just a little bit before we step into this conversation, because these terms, weak ego and narcissist, are going to come up. Okay? So let me share with you my screen. All right, so you can see on the screen that I have up the nose, a little mental dialogue. You know how we do. We believe in root cause analysis over here. We do as much as we can to speculate. We do enjoy that from time to time, but as much as we can, we like to do a little root cause analysis as well. Let's take a quick look, because I literally studied the conversation between Great Levi and Jedidiah Brown, and it was so crazy to me to watch these two have a fucking conversation. It was really interesting to watch two emotionally unintelligent people have a conversation, to watch one person with a weak ego and another person who's narcissistic have a conversation. Lord. So, excuse me, and part of my cough, y'all know, it is what it is. And I'm drinking coffee too, but with oat milk, not regular milk, so hopefully it doesn't cost too much. But I talk often about the ego, and I always say that I've identified the difference between when my ego is weak and when my ego is strong. And some things that hurt my feelings, my real friends will tell you, Trina Downs will tell you, I just charge that shit to my weak ego, and I don't even pay attention. If something happens that hurts my feelings, if somebody says or does something that hurts my little feelings, and I think I had this conversation with Shay once too, but I just charge that to my weak ego, and I don't really worry about it no more. Well, here I want to share with you exactly what I mean when I say that, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to read a couple quick definitions. You didn't have to do all that. Hold on. Go back. I didn't ask you to do this. Hold on one second. My device is blocked. And apparently it is. Right. Well, you can see the screen, right? If you can see what I'm looking at and you see the AI overview of ego strength, could you please just give me a 1 in the chat and let me know? And I'll do my best to be able to see it. Shit, what did I just close? Go back. Go back. I am so perturbed. Hold on one second. Give me a second. I'm trying to figure out why. Here we go. Yeah. All right. We are all in the same place. All right. So ego strength, or how well your mind can regulate itself and adapt to change, is a good indicator of mental health. I'm going to read this verbatim because it says exactly what needs to be said. Now, people with strong egos tend to be more resilient and optimistic, while those with weak egos may be more avoidant and defensive. Okay? Now, there's a couple different comparisons here that I really like. And I started to take some notes, and then I thought it'd be just a good idea for us to take a look at them together. And I wish they were literally side by side. I wish they were side by side so that we could look at them in that manner. Unfortunately, we can't, but we're okay. We could do it. We could do it in our head, right? Give me a second. Let me turn on music. So I'm gonna be yelling. All right. All right. I think that's okay. Let me know if that music is too loud or whatever. And I'll try to keep an eye on the comments. Oh, Jennifer, I feel you. I have my glasses on right now. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger too, because I feel you. Excuse me, I'm 44, so I'm over the age of denial. I get it, honey. Hold on. I might be able to fix that. Does that help? Or is that too big? Somebody told me it'd be too big sometimes when I make it big. Sometimes I do that though. Sometimes it be too big when I make it big. I can't help it. Okay, so let's start with that strong ego. Let's start with the positive. Thank you, God King Consciousness, for the feedback. I know who my demographic is. I know my demographic is mostly, it's about 50%, 56% men between the ages of 55 and 64. And of the women, it's about 44% women between the ages of 35 and 54. So I know who's here, baby. I research y'all. Every time we change stories, I stay on top of who's here. So I get it. Ain't no shame in our game. You'll just listen. I feel you. I feel you. Well, people with a strong ego, okay, because we always hear about ego, but we don't really understand. We've not really been taught in our culture, in American and Western culture, that the ego does have its own strengths and its own weaknesses. And an ego can be a good thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing to have an ego. You just got to know if you're operating on the strong side or the weak side. And you're going to hear certain things as we listen to this tonight. Matter of fact, I'm going to start with the weak ego, because you're going to hear a lot of weak ego come from Grace. Now, people with weak egos are more likely to be easily swayed by others, to seek approval from others, to self-sacrifice for others, to be avoidant, rigid, defensive, or aggressive, to be overwhelmed by minor stressors, engage in escapism like substance abuse, fantasy life, video games, or humming at the end of a stressful meeting. People with weak egos tend to view challenges as something to avoid, or have poor judgment, or experience anxiety and depression, and have problems in relationships, and have poor tolerance for distress or frustration, or lack adequate coping resources, or experienced learned helplessness. You are going to see examples of that when we look at Grace tonight. Now, it's important for us to be able to contrast that against a strong ego, because you might see yourself a little bit in here instead. When you look at that other one, that weak ego, you probably could identify somebody, or maybe you in a different lifetime, who's identified with some of those characteristics, right? What's up, Eyes? You'll be 44 in October, God King. In November, sorry. Congratulations. It's a magical year. What's up, Eyes? Welcome in. Good morning to you. I think it is, right? So now people with strong egos are more likely to see reality objectively, or respond realistically to others in life. They have confidence, emotional intelligence, and common sense. People with strong egos are more likely to manage their emotions, find solutions to problems, be resilient to challenges, use their intellect to foresee consequences, pursue and accomplish goals with self-discipline, and take a learning approach in life. It was really important to me for us to make these comparisons, because gone are the days when we just chalk shit up to people's egos and not understand that there is a strong ego and a weak ego. And when you know the difference, then you can understand how you don't have to quote unquote humble yourself. Sometimes you just got to understand where you are. Okay. Now I want to kind of change over to another definition. Bear with me 1 second while I clear the mat and get some new stuff on the board. Give me 1 second. Let me do a little work. Do a little work. Do a little work. Let me do a little work. Hold on. Bitch, I'm tapping you. Thank you. Right. Read the room and move accordingly, honey. Some folks don't know how to do that. Some people actually become very insecure and self-conscious. There is another definition I want to take a look at. And let me see if I can get it up here. Okay. Now, I don't want to offend anybody. And I know that we've all been through different stages in life where we've grown a lot. We've overcome a lot. But I, for one, can recognize that I've operated in narcissistic traits in my past. And when I realized that's what was happening, baby, I made the right phone calls and took care of that shit. Because who wants to move like that? Generally, if you were raised by narcissists, you can probably go ahead and tell yourself you a narcissist. We won't judge you. We won't judge you because it ain't your fault. It was so funny when my mama told me I was a narcissist. I was like, yay, now go study how it happened. It was right around my 40th birthday. She's like, you know what's wrong with you? You're a narcissist. And I was like, yep. Now let's talk about how it happened. Anyway, that's why I'm not afraid to confront the narcissistic energy, because I have dealt with it myself. I know exactly what it looks like. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Oftentimes we build these defenses against people when we are in need of healing. And we don't always understand that that's what we've done. But that's what we've done. So let me give you guys a good definition so we can talk about narcissism from a framework that is agreed upon. Okay. Here we go. Bear with me 1 second. Which one is it? Is it this one? No, it's this one. That's the one. Okay. Excuse me. I feel like I must need like a touch calibration on my Microsoft Surface. When it decides it don't want to tap, it don't tap. The fuck? Hold on. Maybe it just needs to be replaced. Let's see. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to get this thing up for us. There we go. Okay. So we should be able to see now a definition, an AI overview of narcissistic. Now, there's two different things when we talk about narcissism. We could be talking about that personality style or an actual mental health condition. Okay? For now, I'm going to focus on the personality style because I'm not in any position to diagnose anybody. Okay? Let's talk about the personality style for a second. Narcissism is a self-centered personality style that involves an excessive preoccupation with oneself and one's needs, often at the expense of others. It can range from normal to abnormal personality expression. Now, something that I found interesting when I was studying this earlier is that it does become common in men. I didn't know that narcissism was more common in men than it is in women, because I was raised by a man and a woman who were both narcissists. But even when it talks about the mental health condition, you're still talking about that grandiose sense of self, the need for attention, the need for admiration. And I think we're going to see a little bit of that when we take a look at Jedidiah Brown's behavior. I don't want to go into the mental health condition, excuse me. I'm not trying to go down that road with him. I think that's between him and his therapist, which if he works for the FBI, I'm sure he's got one. Hold on, I got to blow my nose. Thank you, guys. All right. So I wanted to just level the field real quick so that we can have a clear understanding of those words. When I discuss them, when I mention them, I'm referring to a weak ego and narcissistic personality style, according to the definitions that we just read. And I'll try to maintain my conversation around the perimeters. Excuse me, I'm the educated one, so I got to say that right. Within the perimeters that have been set forth by the definition. And we may need to go back and double check it from time to time just to make sure that we're still following, what's been put before us. So, excuse me, why don't we take a look? Excuse me. That's why usually when I come back from a vacation, I take a week off. This ain't new. I knew this was going to happen. Y'all, I be kicking it. Do you hear me? I be kicking it. Me and my baby be partying until like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Shit, I be kicking it when I go on vacation. So y'all done seen this before if you've been with me. I know Susie BQ Lollipop 22 been with me since the beginning. So I'm sure she done seen me sniffling after a cruise before. Trigger warning. Thank you, God King Consciousness. I appreciate you too. Excuse me. I meant to mute while I blew my nose.